Matthew 27 verse 52 mentions a fascinating and often overlooked event in the gospel narrative. The tombs also were opened, and many bodies of the saints who had fallen asleep were raised. This verse describes a resurrection event that occurred immediately after Jesus' death on the cross. To fully understand this verse, we need to examine its context, the theological implications, and its significance within the broader narrative of the New Testament. Matthew 27 verse 52 is set within the passion narrative of Jesus Christ. Following Jesus' crucifixion, a series of miraculous events occurred. Darkness covered the land, the temple veil was torn in two, and an earthquake shook the ground. These events underscored the cosmic significance of Jesus' death. Theological implications. 1. Affirmation of Jesus' divinity. The resurrection of the saints is a powerful testimony to Jesus' divine nature. It signifies that his death had a profound impact on the spiritual realm, even extending to those who had already died. This aligns with passages like John 11 verse 25, where Jesus declares, "I am the resurrection and the life." 2. Foreshadowing of the general resurrection. This event serves as a precursor to the final resurrection of the dead, a central tenet of Christian eschatology. It provides a glimpse of the hope that all believers have in the resurrection at the end of times. 1 Corinthians 15 verses 20 to 23. 3. Victory over death. By raising the saints, Jesus demonstrated his victory over death, the ultimate enemy. This act reassures believers of their own victory over death through Christ. Hebrews 2 verses 14 to 15. Significance in the New Testament narrative. The resurrection of these saints, although briefly mentioned, adds a layer of depth to the narrative of Jesus' crucifixion and resurrection. It highlights the immediate and transformative power of Jesus' death, not just for the living but also for those who had died in faith. This event underscores the holistic nature of salvation history, connecting the Old and New Testaments through the fulfillment of prophecy and the demonstration of God's redemptive power. Early church fathers, such as Augustine and Jerome, saw this event as a testament to the universal scope of salvation. Application for today. This passage invites believers to reflect on the comprehensive scope of Christ's redemptive work and its implications for both the present and the future. It reassures Christians of their hope in the resurrection and encourages them to live in the light of Jesus' victory over death. Matthew 27 verse 52, while a brief verse, holds profound theological significance. It emphasizes Jesus' divine authority, foreshadows the general resurrection, and proclaims his victory over death. By examining this verse, believers can deepen their understanding of the scope and power of Christ's redemptive work. Stay tuned for examples in both the New and Old Testaments of resurrections. 1. Elijah and the widow's son, 1 Kings 17 verses 17 to 24. Story. The prophet Elijah revived the son of a widow in Zarephath after he had died. A life lesson. God's compassion and power can bring life to the most desperate situations. 2. Elisha and the Shunammite son, 2 Kings 4 verses 18 to 37. Story. The prophet Elisha revived the son of the Shunammite woman after the child had died. Life lesson. Persistent faith and prayer can lead to miraculous outcomes. 3. A man revived when his body touched Elisha's bones, 2 Kings 13 verses 20 to 21. Story. A dead man was revived when his body was thrown into Elisha's tomb and touched the prophet's bones. Life lesson. God's power can work through his servants even after their death. 1. Jesus raises the widow's son at Nain, Luke 7 verses 11 to 17. Story. Jesus encountered a funeral procession in Nain and revived the widow's only son. Life lesson. Jesus' compassion extends to the marginalized and grieving. 2. Jesus raises Jairus' daughter, Mark 5 verses 21 to 43. Matthew 9 verses 18 to 26. Luke 8 verses 40 to 56. Story. Jairus, a synagogue leader, pleaded with Jesus to heal his dying daughter. Jesus brought her back to life. Life lesson. Faith in Jesus can overcome even the finality of death. 3. Jesus raises Lazarus, John 11 verses 1 to 44. Story. Jesus revived his friend Lazarus, who had been dead for 4 days. Life lesson. Jesus has ultimate authority over life and death. 4. Many saints raised at Jesus' death. Matthew 27 verses 50 to 53. Story. At Jesus' death, tombs broke open and many holy people who had died were raised to life. Life lesson. Jesus' death and resurrection bring new life and hope for all believers. 5. Peter raises Tabitha, Dorcas. Acts 9 verses 36 to 42. Story. Peter revived a disciple named Tabitha, Dorcas, in Joppa. Life lesson. Acts of charity and faith are remembered and honored by God. 6. Paul raises Eutychus. Acts 20 verses 7 to 12. Story. Eutychus fell from a third-story window during Paul's sermon and died. Paul revived him. Life lesson. God's presence and power are not limited by time or place. Jesus' resurrection. Matthew 28 verses 1 to 10. Mark 16 verses 1 to 8. Luke 24 verses 1 to 12. John 20 verses 1 to 18. Story. Jesus' resurrection from the dead on the third day after his crucifixion. Life lesson. Jesus' victory over death assures believers of eternal life. Each of these resurrections provides a powerful testimony of God's ability to bring life out of death, offering hope and illustrating the central Christian belief in resurrection and eternal life through Jesus Christ.